Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all doing well in these crazy times. So thanks to World of Warcraft Auction House taking a dump on my plans today, we are going to talk the wisdom buff, leveling, and our hopes for Shadowlands. Spoiler alert, none of this is going to come true. In the wake of the world turning into a giant dumpster fire, Blizzard have created the 100% XP buff of wisdom, so that we can safely stay indoors and level up some alts. This is great if you have a couple of characters needing that last push to 120. Doubly so when you consider we now have the essences being, and I say this with air quotations, account wide. If you want to play something new, there has never been a better time in BFA. Is it perfect? Not even close. If you wish to be competitive, there is still a lot of work required to play alts at a higher level, even more so if you include the clown fiesta that is corruption. But that is a sea of sludge that we are not going to wade through today. So with how crazy the gear leveling process is in WoW currently, and even the mighty M+ starting to look as if it needs just a little bit of a fresh coat of paint in Shadowlands, I have succumbed. Yes, I have succumbed again to the character leveling ult from 1 again. I know. Don't judge me. And this brings up 2 points that I want to talk about today. One is the change Blizzard are bringing to Shadowlands regarding leveling. Worry not. We're not going to go over just the systems that they're bringing in, but instead we're going to talk about how we believe this is going to affect new players and also returning players. 2, the soul that is missing from WoW as an MMO because of these changes. Currently the grind in WoW is very real. Getting to 120 takes a hell of a long time. This in itself isn't a problem. Many players love the journey, making a fresh level 1, exploring the starting zones, and then spreading their wings and journeying out into the wider world of Azeroth. But even those players that love this world, and that is their game, leveling up and questing, must feel that this can be done better and has been done better in the past, and that is what we all hope is coming in 9.0. To do that, we must go back to the very basics of an RPG, rewarding the experience of leveling up, either being able to wear a powerful piece of armor that you got before but couldn't wear until now, or gaining a new ability or power, talent. Instead, we have large gaps where you gain nothing but the level itself. And that means nothing when the world around you scales to the level you're at. Kills should get easier, giving you a feeling of power, of becoming more, until you adventure off to some unknown location to face far more powerful foes. Instead, we saw this power scaling at its worst in BFA. As you lost your Legion weapons and you lost your Legos, you lost much of your feeling of strength, and the character you were playing felt weaker. And because of that, the game less fun. Looking forward to Shadowlands, how do we think it's going to work when we lose our Azerite gear? We may not like it, but there's no doubting it is powerful. We can assume our essence abilities are going to be lost around the start of Shadowlands. Maybe in some lore way we need to use our next power to give us the ability to cross into the Shadow Realm, maybe using it as an anchor to Azeroth so we can become the Maw-Walker. My hope is, in Shadowlands, given that there is a fixed story being told, that mobs will not scale with us, instead allowing for power progression within the story. You are weak when you enter Shadowlands, having lost all of your fantastic skills and abilities and your powers. But we can help you, champion. We can give you a small amount of our power, and therefore, as the champion progresses, we gain power from this source, overcoming the horrors that we face in the Shadowlands. Feeling that loss again when we move on to the next Covenant. And that feeling of kind of rinse and repeat as you lose power and regain it. This works even if they do have some kind of dynamic scaling based on where you are in the story. So they know at this point you will have around this much power based on your gear. And you're not going from God where you can suddenly pull 8 different mobs and then to Chump where one mob is going to kill you outright. That's not fun. In fact, it would be interesting if, as we enter Shadowlands, we gain a new set of, say, 500 eye-level gear. For lore, say it's some special suit infused with anima, given to us from the Lich King or Bolvir, and the very last of his power, and also the last of the power from the neck, again acting as an anchor. So everybody starts off on the same item level. From then on, all the gear that we gained, obviously, in the Shadowlands would be infused in anima, so we could swap it out as we wanted to. We've done what we needed to do in creating our anchor. This allows the story beats of loss of power and the gaining of power to be better told and better experienced by each player. And that should be a big part of the story as this champion, this hero. This also works with ults, As we know, on an alt, you can level anywhere. Once you hit 60, which is the new max level, you join a Covenant from the very start, that's fine, because you can use the scaling there, because the power gain is completely different. We have World Quest, we have the Covenant abilities, the Soul Binding, all these new toys that we have kind of make that different from the experience of going through the story for the first time, which is something Blizzard want you to experience. But that's all max level, Grim. That's max level. Journeying into Shadowlands is unwritten. So Blizzard can do anything they want from then on. What we must look to now is the experience that low-level players and returning players are going to have when they step foot in this new world of 9.0. We have an amazing new starting zone coming. Exile Island, an area where Blizzard can teach new players all about the mechanics that have built up over WoW's 60 years history. So that when they enter a dungeon, they know to interrupt. They know, don't stand in fire, it will kill you. They know how to get aggro from mobs. They know how crafting works. Pet battles, everything and anything can be taught to people in this new zone. And that's fantastic. That is absolutely brilliant. If you've ever boosted a character, you'll know that you're given nothing once you've boosted. There's no helping hand, there's no guide, there's no, hey, this is what you should do next. There's nothing. You have to rely on the people around you or third-party websites. It's no wonder people leave. But I believe also the islands show the biggest flaw underlying Blizzard's thinking going into the Shadowlands, and that is the end quest dungeon. Now don't get me wrong, I love the idea of questing in this new zone, learning the story, the lore, and at the end doing a dungeon and killing this dragon. It's epic, I love that. But you can solo this, and the other members of your team will just fill out with NPCs. The beauty of WoW and any MMO is the people that you're playing with. Now I know many of you may laugh, but it is true. Join a general group in WoW and you'll generally have some bans, some good times. Yeah, you'll get some bad times, but we let the toxic BS boost bitches tarnish WoW to the degree where we can no longer have master loot because Blizzard thinks we can't be responsible with it. No one was asking for that. WoW becoming an action RPG is fine. I liked the speed of the classes. I liked how they played in Legion. What I think they need to do is look at what they want regarding the contents of WoW. It was never built around speedruns. You've only got to go back and play Classic for a very short period of time, and you'll know that. So if Blizzard wants to change the game into something else, evolve it, which is nothing wrong with, you need to bring the classes, you need to balance the classes and the specs around that. Now, WoW becoming an action RPG, as I said, is fine. I've got nothing wrong with that. But becoming an action RPG over being an MMO first and foremost is a massive issue Blizzard needs to address. Given how Diablo 4 looks, and games like Path of Exile, what makes me want to play WoW over those games? Because those games do that far better. The thing that makes WoW great is the people. Anyone that's played any content of WoW with others, even for a small amount of time, by and large will say playing with friends is far better than soloing in the world of Azeroth. And that is because the game is designed around guilds, it's designed around people doing things together, overcoming challenges that you cannot do alone. In Kata they killed that. Not because they wanted to, but simply because they didn't ask. They never said to the community, this is what we're thinking of doing. And nobody with half a brain thought, hey, maybe putting millions of gold in the power of a very few people, so long as they fill up the guild with just randoms and don't care about them at all, will be fine. What could possibly go wrong? So the Toxic Guild was born, and the guild, that social aspect, has never recovered. Now granted, Blizzard did their own wrecking ball strategy by destroying 40-man raids. That meant guilds could kick all their bad players and become super awesome amazeballs. But Blizzard then, it turned out, didn't give a fudge about 10-mans, and so killed that as well. And of course, making heroic dungeons in Kata easier means pugging is easier. Those Kata dungeons are actually a good example of Blizzard sometimes needs to have faith in what they want to do, or what they want their vision to be of World of Warcraft. And explain that to the community, explain why you want these things done. So let's have a hypothetical conversation very quickly. Players, we want easier dungeons to pug. We want them easier. Blizzard, we don't want to kill guilds. We don't want to make the game a solo experience. That's why we've made them this level of difficulty. So you have to come together and overcome it. What about if we make guilds better? So therefore we make, guilds can make a ton of money, and that'll be really good. And then everybody will enjoy that. And then the player is going to turn around immediately and go, nope, we'll abuse that. Don't do it, we will abuse that. But that conversation, now completely, this is a fantasy. Ian is never going to come to us. For some reason, over the years, it's been viewed that the players are evil, that we have this clash, that for some reason we're never going to agree with each other, and we're just going to have vitriol hatred. And again, that's the minority that have that attitude. Most of us, when asked for opinions, try to give it. If people are lucky enough to get onto the beta, they try to give their feedback, they try to give their opinions. So without that communication, we get things like essences. Now, essences are fine, but they were a band-aid patch brought in because they screwed up Azerite so much, because they didn't talk to us. And then we turn around and say, we actually don't mind the essence system. Considering everything else you give us in BFA, essence systems are okay. But can we have them for all of our ults? If we've gone through the grind and we've unlocked them on our main, can we have them on our ults? And Blizzard are like, no. You need to start again on your ults. Maximum playtime. That's what we're looking for. And then, and this is entirely my opinion, I bet you the figures for WoW subs started to drop. As they tend to do at the end of an expansion. They started to drop. Players didn't want to do it. And if I don't want to do it, well, hey, I could just wait for Shadowlands and restart this all again. So they created this fudge system whereby you can kind of get them, you were kind of going to give them to your ults. You give everyone these essences, but they still need to earn it, which I have nothing wrong with. I don't mind the fact that you need to do some work on your ult. Surely you want to play your ult, that's why you want the essences. But now we have the 100% XP boost coming into this. So we have essences that are now account wide. And all I can hear in my head, I can hear them chanting, just keep playing, please God, until the alpha and the beta comes out. And then we can jangle our keys and distract you with Shadowlands. Please just keep playing. Now, sometimes for the good of your game, you have to do something that people don't like, that you know will make the game better. Again, I reference Master Lu, or worse, GCD changes. They stuck by them, but you need to treat the community like adults and ask what they think, as they pay you the money. You piss the player base off and you're all unemployed. Should you always do what we say? Hell no! Hell no. But at least explain what your hopes are, the changes. Don't just make these Ian chats that we have an excuse for us to get our Wowhead bingo board out and look to see whether somebody said morally grey and then take a shot of our favourite drink. I have gone a little off course, and my apologies for that. But the future of WoW to be as bright as we all want it to be, Blizzard need to decide what they want going forward. Are we going to be this solo experience? Are we going to be this fast APG and forsake our MMO roots? Given the story of WoW at the moment, why not as a test going forward and make it so that we're on this island, the Horde or the Alliance, whoever you happen to be with, you have to work together. So when you do that final dungeon, Horde and Alliance are in that dungeon as one team. And only if you cannot fill the numbers, then it's populated by NPCs. I've said it before as well, it would be good if new players started on this island, were automatically joined to a newbie guild run by a GM. So they could talk to other players, maybe team up with them while they quest, maybe team up with each other to do the dungeon, make new friends. Of course, if that's not your thing, then you can leave. But the hardest part about guilds is joining one. That fear of the unknown. It's like going to school for the first time or joining a new company. Once you show them that it isn't something to be afraid of, then they can make their own judgment call going forward. If it's not for them, fine. But they're one step closer to making WoW an MMO again and people interacting. Now, fingers crossed, because I've got on long enough. My mail issue is fixed tomorrow, and we can get back to some business. Until then, have a great one, everybody, and stay safe. I'll talk to you all later.